Imagine for a moment that while we're all working so hard to cut greenhouse gas emissions and finding the way to capture carbon, what is truly alarming is that when we began cleaning up the air and reducing that pollution, global temperatures spiked with a speed that left scientists breathless. This is one of the most bizarre paradoxes of modern science, and it is leading us toward a technology that almost no one truly understands. Yet, it may be the last resort to save our world. We are talking about solar radiation modification, or solar geoengineering. In an era where the world is entering a state of global boiling and traditional carbon reduction may no longer be fast enough, a group of scientists is proposing a plan that sounds like science fiction: to turn down the lights by reflecting a fraction of sunlight back into space. This technology doesn't target the root cause, the greenhouse gases, but instead acts like a painkiller to temporarily break the Earth's fever. The most studied method is Stratospheric Aerosol Injection, or SAI, which mimics the effects of volcanic eruptions that have cooled the Earth in the past. When Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991, it blasted millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the sky, creating a haze of microscopic mirrors that lowered global temperatures by 0.5 degrees Celsius for nearly 2 years. If this plan were deployed at an industrial scale, we would see fleets of high-altitude aircraft spraying these reflective chemicals every single year. Other methods include marine cloud brightening, where sea salt is sprayed into low-lying clouds over the ocean to make them denser and more reflective. And for those looking beyond our atmosphere, there are proposals to install space sunshades, or massive mirrors at the L1 Lagrange point between the Earth and the Sun, which could reduce solar intensity by about 1.7%. What is both fascinating and terrifying is the economics behind this. Adjusting the climate this way is incredibly cheap compared to any other solution. Estimates suggest we could offset 1 degree of warming for just $18 billion a year, a tiny fraction of the cost of natural disasters. This commercial efficiency is exactly why billionaires like Bill Gates and major investment groups are beginning to fund this research seriously. However, hidden beneath this hope of saving the planet is a risk known as termination shock. If we depend on a large-scale sun reflection system for decades and it is suddenly stopped, whether due to war, terrorism, or economic collapse, the temperature that was being held back would rebound with terrifying violence. Ecosystems would have no time to adapt, and it would become a catastrophe that humanity could no longer control. Beyond physical risks, there is the moral hazard. The concern is that if we have a quick fix that seems to work, society and businesses may stop their efforts to cut emissions at the source. Some see it as a way to buy time while we develop carbon removal technology, but others fear it will become an excuse to continue business as usual while the planet suffers. Ethically, reflecting sunlight doesn't solve everything because it does nothing to reduce carbon dioxide concentrations. This means our oceans will continue to acidify, destroying coral reefs and the marine food chain. Furthermore, intervening in the atmosphere could change global rainfall patterns in unpredictable ways, potentially causing devastating droughts in parts of Asia and Africa. The critical question is, who gets to hold the remote control for the Earth's temperature? If one country wants it cooler to save its crops, but that action causes a drought in another country, who decides? We saw the first signs of this conflict with the startup Make Sunsets, which launched sulfur balloons in Mexico without permission to sell cooling credits. This stunt prompted the Mexican government to immediately ban all outdoor geoengineering experiments in the country. Concerns over climate colonialism are heating up as well, as nations in the global south, the most vulnerable to climate change, have historically had almost no voice in these technological decisions. Yet, in recent years, these vulnerable nations have begun building their own research networks through programs like the Degrees Initiative. They're assessing regional impacts for themselves to ensure their voices are heard on the global stage. In the end, we must see the truth. Climate modification is not a perfect solution. It is emergency medicine for a planet that is critically ill. Transparent research and robust international governance are more essential now than ever before. We may not like the idea, but as temperatures continue to rise, we may have to prepare for a world where we no longer see a deep blue sky, but one that is a pale, milky white in a desperate attempt to protect all life on this Earth.